Somalia, a country on the Horn of Africa, is often associated with images of pirates hijacking ships. But why Somalia? What makes this nation, with its rich cultural heritage and stunning landscapes, a hotspot for such notorious activities? What factors have made this nation a breeding ground for piracy? To understand this, we need to delve deeper into the historical, economic, and social fabric of Somalia. The answer lies in a complex web of historical, economic, and social issues. Somalia's history is marked by colonial exploitation, civil wars, and political instability, which have all contributed to its current state. This essay will delve into the dark truth behind Somali piracy, exploring the factors that have fueled its rise and the devastating impact it has had on Somalia and the world. We will look at how these pirates operate, their motivations, and the broader implications of their actions. Somalia's long coastline, stretching over 3,300 kilometers along the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean, makes it a strategic location for maritime trade. This vast expanse of water is a crucial route for international shipping, making it a prime target for pirates. However, this geographic advantage has also made Somalia vulnerable to piracy. The lack of a strong naval presence and the vastness of the waters make it difficult to patrol and protect against pirate activities. The country's weak government and lack of effective law enforcement have created an environment where pirates can operate with impunity. The collapse of central authority has left a power vacuum that various factions and warlords have exploited. Furthermore, Somalia's poverty-stricken population has been driven to desperate measures to survive. With limited opportunities for legitimate employment, many young men see piracy as their only option. Years of conflict, drought, and famine have left many Somalis struggling to feed their families. The lack of basic necessities and the constant threat of violence have created a sense of hopelessness and desperation. In this context, piracy has emerged as a lucrative, albeit dangerous means of income. The promise of wealth and the thrill of adventure lure many into this perilous occupation. The story of Somali piracy is a tragic one, a tale of a nation crippled by internal strife and exploited by external forces. The international community's response has been mixed, with efforts to combat piracy often clashing with the need to address the root causes of the crisis. Understanding the root causes of this crisis is crucial for finding lasting solutions and helping Somalia chart a course towards a more peaceful and prosperous future. By addressing the underlying issues of poverty, political instability, and lack of opportunities, we can hope to see a decline in piracy and a brighter future for the Somali people. Piracy in Somalia is not a recent phenomenon. For centuries, the waters off the Somali coast have been a haven for pirates, preying on trading ships traveling along the ancient maritime routes linking the East and the West. During the Middle Ages, Somali pirates operated as privateers for powerful empires, raiding ships and coastal towns for riches and treasures. The lack of a strong central authority in Somalia made it difficult to suppress these maritime raiders, who continued to operate with relative impunity and freedom. By the 20th century, piracy in Somali waters had declined, but it never truly disappeared from the region. The collapse of the Somali state in the early 1990s, following the overthrow of President Siad Barre, created a power vacuum that allowed piracy to flourish once again. The absence of a functioning government, coupled with widespread poverty and lawlessness, provided fertile ground for the resurgence of piracy in Somalia. What began as small-scale attacks on local fishing vessels quickly escalated into a major international crisis, as Somali pirates became bolder and more sophisticated in their operations. To understand Somali piracy, one must first understand the dire state of the Somali nation. Somalia, a country located in the Horn of Africa, has faced relentless turmoil for decades. Decades of conflict, corruption, and instability have left Somalia a shadow of its former self. The once thriving cities now lie in ruins, and the scars of war are visible everywhere. The country has been ravaged by civil war since the early 1990s, with various warlords and factions vying for control. This power struggle has led to widespread violence and chaos, making daily life a constant battle for survival. This prolonged conflict has had a devastating impact on Somalia's infrastructure, economy, and social fabric. Roads and buildings lie in disrepair, and the once bustling markets are now eerily quiet. Basic services such as healthcare, education, and law enforcement have collapsed in many parts of the country. Hospitals and schools are abandoned, leaving the population without essential services. The Somali government, while internationally recognized, has struggled to exert control beyond the capital, Mogadishu. The central authority is weak, and its influence barely extends to the outskirts of the city. The absence of a strong central authority has created a climate of lawlessness and impunity, allowing criminal networks including pirate gangs to operate freely. In rural areas, the lack of police presence has made communities vulnerable to exploitation. The Somali security forces, ill-equipped and underpaid, have been unable to effectively combat piracy or other forms of maritime crime. Their limited resources and training make it difficult to maintain order and protect the coastline. This lack of governance has made Somalia a haven for pirates, who exploit the country's porous borders, unguarded coastlines, and corrupt officials. The vast and unmonitored coastal areas provide the perfect environment for piracy to thrive. The international community has provided some support to Somalia in its fight against piracy, but these efforts have been hampered by the country's deep-seated problems. Despite the presence of international naval forces, the root causes of piracy remain unaddressed, making it a persistent issue. The waters off the Somali coast are some of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. This region is a crucial artery for global trade, connecting the East and the West. Every year, thousands of cargo ships, oil tankers, and fishing vessels traverse these waters, carrying billions of dollars worth of goods. These vessels transport everything from crude oil and natural gas to consumer electronics and food supplies. This heavy maritime traffic, combined with Somalia's lack of effective law enforcement, has made the region a prime target for pirates. The absence of a stable government and the economic hardships faced by many Somalis have further exacerbated the problem. The vastness of the ocean and the limited resources available to patrol these waters make it difficult to track and intercept pirate vessels. The sheer size of the area that needs to be monitored is overwhelming for the few naval patrols that are present. Somali pirates often operate in small, fast-moving skiffs that are difficult to detect and pursue. These skiffs are nimble and can easily outmaneuver larger ships, making them a formidable threat. They are also known for their brazen tactics, using high-powered weapons and rocket-propelled grenades to attack and board ships. These pirates are often heavily armed and well prepared for violent confrontations. The lack of a coordinated international response in the early years of the Somali piracy crisis allowed pirate gangs to operate with relative impunity. During this period, pirates were able to hijack numerous vessels and demand hefty ransoms. Many pirates were able to evade capture and prosecution, enjoying their ill-gotten gains and reinvesting their profits in more sophisticated weapons and equipment. This reinvestment allowed them to enhance their operations and become even more dangerous. The international community has since stepped up its efforts to combat Somali piracy, deploying naval patrols, establishing maritime security initiatives, and providing training and support to regional coast guards. These efforts have led to a significant reduction in piracy incidents, but the threat has not been entirely eliminated. However, the vastness of the ocean and the constantly evolving tactics of the pirates continue to pose significant challenges. Pirates are always adapting, finding new ways to exploit vulnerabilities and evade capture, making the fight against piracy an ongoing battle.